Welcome, everybody. This is the edition of the Facebook Feud, and we have none other than our host, Ryan Landry. Ryan,
Yes, I'm ready to win.
are you ready to play for $20,000?
Hell, okay.
All you have to do is get the top 5 answers on the board. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here's today's question. What was the top 5 Facebook rants after the Saints lost on Sunday?
Oh, where do I begin? Let me go with Marcus Colston can't hold on to a football.
Let's go with Marcus Colston can't hold on to the football. That's number 1.
All right. Rob Ryan's hair looks better than the defense.
Show me Rob Ryan's hair. Number 3 answers. 2 for 2.
This is all Mark Ingram's fault.
Show me Mark Ingram still sucks. Number 5 answer.
Okay. All right. 2 and 1.
2 and 1. What would 2 and 1 be?
Ryan Griffin's a better quarterback than Drew Brees.
Show me Ryan Griffin's a better quarterback than Drew Brees. Surprisingly, number 2 answer on the board. Remember, a lot of people do drink during these games.
This is very true.
But what is the number 1 Facebook rant of the Saints loss on Sunday?
Atlanta still sucks.
Show me Atlanta still sucks. Number 1 answer.
20 grand, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out.
Wow, I think we really lost Ryan there.
No, I ain't going nowhere. Hey, guys.
Welcome, everybody. Episode 53 of the Matt Ryan Show. Of course, he's the legend, Ryan Landry.
Oh, I'm the legend this week?
Yeah, you can be a legend.
He's the guy.
I'm just
Matt
the guy.
over there.
I'm just the guy. But
Well,
I guess we might as well just get it over with, right? So, exciting news was the NFL started this past week.
yep.
And for about one half, it was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And it pretty much was a snowball effect downhill after that for the rest of the game. The Saints and Falcons ended up meeting in a track meet in a game that the Saints probably, especially on defense, played about as bad as they could, and it took the Falcons into overtime to win. But this is no BCS in the NFL. It's no style points. It's just a matter of W's and L's. And the Saints came out on the short end in overtime in a game that I think more surprising the Saints losing was how poorly the Saints played on defense Sunday, right?
Let's break this down here, guys. Let's break this down. In Sean Payton's now 8 years as the Saints head coach, not counting the year he was suspended, the Saints have given up. The Saints have never given up 600 yards, almost 600 yards on defense, ever. That was, statistically speaking, the worst defensive performance in Sean Payton's head coaching tenure in New Orleans to date. We gave up 445 yards in the air to one of the most prolific offenses in the game that everyone knows is as prolific as they are. But with the new revamped secondary, we look like the Saints of old.
That was the Falcons' record, by the way, for Matt Ryan.
440. I mean, you got to give credit where the credit's due. Matt Ryan played his ass off.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is what it comes down to. The secondary we paid for is not the secondary we got.
Nope. I think it's the main problems on defense were, and secondary was definitely part of the problem. I think it started, and not necessarily was more fault than the other, because all 11 of them were not good.
Right.
So I think the defensive line got pancaked the entire day, and as much as we make fun of Matt Ryan, if you get that guy time to throw, he's going to throw darts on the defense all day. And as bad as, and some of the coverages weren't as bad as they could have been, but I think what was the most disturbing thing, Ryan, the Saints had 23 missed tackles on the day, 6 of them by Kenny Vaccaro, who, by the way, only had 3 missed tackles the entire year last year, and he had 6 in one game. Let that go around your mind. The
Wow.
Saints not only just played horrible on defense, that's basics. You learn tackling in Pee Wee football.
We learned that in Bantam, Matt. We learned that in Bantam.
And the question now is, was it just a bad game, or is this a trend of possibly a repeat of 2012 where the Saints are going to put up numbers? By the way, the Saints right now, statistically, 32nd in the NFL in defense, 3 in offense, if we're going by the numbers.
3 in offense, 32nd. We had the worst defensive performance of the week.
Of anybody.
Let's not jump the gun so quick, man.
Yeah.
Let's not jump the gun.
Okay.
Let's go with let's chalk this up as week 1 jitters. Let's chalk this up as, this is a new defensive 11. Not everybody's new, but Rob Ryan is instituting new schemes into this defense. We got a few new bodies. Jerry's Bird being a new body,
who did force a fumble, but then was pretty much invisible the rest of the game after that, along with pretty much the entire Saints secondary, and linebackers were missing tackles. Even Curtis Lofton wasn't great.
Let's put this where it actually belongs, Matt. Yes, the secondary played like crap. But Seattle, for example. Seattle blitzes probably in the lower third of the NFL as far as blitzing percentages are concerned, as opposed to regular defensive schemes. The reason they don't have to blitz is because their 4 down linemen are going to get pressure.
Right.
So our 4 down linemen accumulated 1 sack.
Now it's Cameron Jordan, whatever.
1. Cam Jordan, you're right. We did the job of flushing Matt Ryan out the pocket. Matt Ryan, as of Rob Ryan's quote-unquote irritating scrambling talent. The guy obviously can get out and move when he has to, but as we all know, Matt Ryan likes to sit pretty in the pocket, much like Drew does, and slice and dice defenses apart. That's where the defensive schematics broke down, is when this guy got out the pocket, the coverage was good. The coverage caused him to have to move out the pocket and gave the D-line time to give pressure. From that point forward is where everything broke down. You got Julio Jones and Roddy White. You got Harry Douglas, who's a proven slot receiver. So you got 3 top-tier receivers on this team at their respective positions who can break coverages once their quarterback gets into open space. And that's exactly what happened, really, when you look at the big picture. Matt Ryan didn't just sit back and unleash with 2 seconds in the pocket time and time again. He picked up 3 or 4 first downs on the ground himself.
And one of the most frustrating things, a lot of those big plays the Saints gave up were on plays
down.
3rd 10, 3rd and 15, or they would make a stop and then make a stupid pass. A lot of it's correctable, but we didn't really see that last year, and ultimately it cost the Saints a football game. It cost the Saints a divisional football game. Now, like Ryan said, it's week 1, but doesn't mean we're letting them off the hook that easy this week.
You're not even getting close to getting off the hook.
Yeah. And not to mention, we've been hard on the defense, but the offense isn't free from criticism either, including Mr. $20 million man, Drew Brees, who overall I thought did play pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd say he may have had only 2 bad throws of the day. One of them was on his interception to Cooks, who a friend of mine I was talking to sort of put it best. Drew went to the toy store in the off season and got a new favorite little toy in the name of Mr. Cooks.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you play with your toy a little too much, people start to pick up on that. Ultimately, what he was trying to put the little kid gold star type of comparison thing. Brees threw in the double coverage, and they knew it was going to Cooks anyway, and that was his bad throw and his interception. And the other thing that I'm starting to come a little concerned with is Drew on the deep ball.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he can still complete.
But you back up to the Super Bowl season, and he hits Joe Morgan in stride for 6 on both of those.
Right.
Both of those. But let's not let Joe Morgan off the hook.
Right.
He dropped a couple of gimmies.
Yeah, exactly. And even Colson had a couple games.
Yep.
And even through all that, Drew still had a great game. I forgot what his completion percentage was, but it was
like 65%.
65%,
which is about Drew's average.
Yeah, and that's tops in the league.
That's astronomical when you look at it across the board.
I'll take that every week. So this is not a completely bash Drew Brees thing. Drew Brees definitely was not the reason we lost. If anything, he sort of kept us back in the game, did a nice job leading us back on that final drive to give us the lead.
This is true.
But one thing I think, other than, of course, the drops that some of the receivers had, and yeah, Colson had his fumble, but he also had 110 yards that game. Colson's not the reason he lost.
No.
One thing that started driving me nuts is the one thing that I usually criticize the offense about more than anything. Saints were averaging 4.5 yards a carry running the ball.
Get away from the run.
And we get away from the run when we were winning for most of the game, too, which was even more of a head scratcher. You know, was it Air Payton back out again? Did he just not trust his running backs? And one guy who was noticeably upset on the sideline was Mark Ingram.
Yeah. Mark Ingram had a hell of a game. Yeah.
All three running backs.
2 touchdowns, I think 65 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you have an offense like the Saints do, where it's a running back by committee, / you go with the hot hand, very much like LSU runs their offense with who's going to get the ball. When you've got Ingram playing as well as he did, and you're not feeding the monster the rock, yet again, I'm going to go back to compare it to Seattle. What happens when Marshawn Lynch gets hot? Do they start throwing the ball? No. All right. You feed the monster. You let him run. What that does, as anybody who knows football 101, you control the clock, you control the game. We had the lead for
vast majority.
90% of the game if you break it down by time. 90% of the game we had the lead. At one point, a commanding lead.
Yeah.
Why do we get away from the run? I don't understand that for the life of me. Feed the monster. Ingram could have had 130 yards on the day.
Yeah.
I
thought all three running backs played.
They all did.
In fact, if the bright spot of the game was the running backs.
Yep. So we know we have a running game.
And even Tavares Cadet had a game.
Tavares, Kyrie Robinson,
all four of them actually had a game. If I'm going to give anybody an 8 on the report, it's the running backs.
The running backs.
And maybe the offensive line blocking, because I thought they did okay.
Drew had, 1 sack?
I think it was 1 sack, but, he had time to throw, and I thought overall they did a pretty good job running blocking, which is usually the more weaker point of the offensive line.
Right.
We can hash and dash that all day, Ryan, but the truth is we have 15 more games to go, and the Saints will travel on the road again this week to, speaking of money, Johnny Football and the Cleveland Browns itself, but will even play.
Let's put this into perspective. Cleveland's not as good as Atlanta is.
Right.
Especially without Josh Gordon. On the flip side, Cleveland's always had a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
And some damn good cornerbacks. Mm-hmm. We've got a high-flying offense. They've got a couple good cornerbacks. This will be the game, I think, where people I don't want to say Brandon Cooks step up because he had a huge game for his NFL debut.
Right.
But they're going to have their number one on either Colston or Cooks, depending on the lineup, depending on the package, whatever it might be. This is where you're going to see guys like Kenny Stills if he's healthy, Nick Toon if he can catch a ball, Joe Morgan if he can catch a ball, really have to step up to make their number 3, number 4s, or their linebackers in a mismatch.
Right.
Really play some coverage, and that'll give us some real big advantage.
One of them have got to be open because they're going to key in on Jimmy Graham as well.
Yeah. Oh, well,
like he is every.
But Jimmy looked good. Jimmy looked good. Jimmy played tough in coverage, which was, everybody last season was calling Jimmy soft throughout the end of the season. Jimmy didn't look too soft on Sunday.
Jimmy earned his paycheck.
Yes, he did.
As much as I get on him, he earned his paycheck.
He sure did.
And
sure did.
We see that every week.
You'll never hear us criticize him.
You thought he had a good year offensively last year? Watch out.
Yep. It'll be interesting to come in this week. I think if Hoyer lays an egg, or if the Saints' defensive line really steps up and they have to look towards the more mobile quarterback, that'd be the only way you see Manziel play. In week 2, it's too early to throw Hoyer into to cast Hoyer into the fire and automatically bring in. And they gave
Pittsburgh a good game on the road. I think they only lost by 3, I want to say.
But then you've got 2 similar teams playing against each other.
Right.
Smash mouth football, stern defense.
I think the key, especially for the Saints to stop on defense, I think Ben Tate is going to be the X factor. He's looking to rebound, and just those big physical Steven Jackson type of running backs have always given the Saints trouble. And Cleveland's one of those games that on paper the Saints should dominate and win, but it's just going to be one of those annual St. Louis Rams type of games that the Saints always drop. I don't know. I think it's going to start with stopping the run.
Yeah,
for the Saints.
Because Cleveland's not going to be able to throw the ball continually successfully like Atlanta did. They have Hoyer, they have Jordan Cameron, and
yeah, I think you'll see a lot of targets.
That's about it. Cameron. That's about all I can think of. Is Cripps still there?
No.
Besides Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron, I can't think of a wide receiver that's actually somebody to be worried about in Cleveland. But then again, this is the NFL. All these guys are professionals. You never know who's going to wake up and play that number 2 spot, and we just have our eyes closed, and then we get burned for 7.
Exactly.
It'll be an interesting game, but the Saints should come out ahead. should on paper.
I think the Saints will win, but I think it's going to be a game that's going to come down to the wire. It's always tough to win on the road, and Cleveland's been another team that's been a thorn in the Saints' side, but the road team has been the one that's usually had success. In fact, we were talking about Superdome home field advantage at one point last year, Ryan, and Cleveland is one of those teams that has beaten the Saints 2 in a row in the Dome.
Oh, 2012, I'm going to throw that one out with the fake punt for 65 yards. Let's throw that one out.
And then, but then on the flip side, the Saints, I think, have won 2 in a row in Cleveland. So it's been a weird series. I think the Saints will rebound this week. And, maybe it's one of those weeks where everything does click and they end up blowing the Browns out of the water. But I'm going to go to the Saints by a touchdown this week. Yeah. Something along the lines of 27-20. I'm not giving the defense a break. Prove it to me that you can give up less than 20.
There you go. And, obviously we've been doing this show for over a year now, and we think a lot on the same wavelength. I was thinking the exact same score, 27-20. And I think, I took Atlanta for granted last week. I didn't think it was going to be that close of a game. I really didn't. I thought our defense was better than what they showed. I think our defense is better than what they showed on Sunday. The coverage was good. Matt Ryan got out of the pocket, but we have to be able to adjust and adapt to things like that, especially if Johnny Manziel comes into this game. Right. Johnny Manziel could run all over us if the same thing happens Sunday. If he comes into the game and the same things happen on Sunday with the 4-down linemen, linebackers, and secondary and coverage, or at least 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, you got somebody like Manziel in the backfield. You saw what he did to Bama. This guy can move. And even if you don't break a big one for us, he's going to pick up 8 to 10. He's going to pick up yardage in chunks if he has open space. Does he play? No.
You don't think?
I don't think so. Unless the Saints are up about 35-7, I don't think Manziel gets in.
I think he gets in, but we'll see.
I don't think he gets in. I like the 27-20. We're not letting the defense off the hook yet either. Cleveland is not a high-powered offense. They run the ball. They normally run the ball fairly well. Mm-hmm. You got Jordan Cameron, and other than that, you don't really have a whole lot of high-power weapons to really worry about. But these guys play smash-mouth football. I would love to see the dog pound cleared out at halftime, but the dog pound won't stick around. 27-20 Saints.
I like it. Flipping the script. Speaking of a team that did play defense this past week,
who makes us smile? Yes, happy stuff.
Did I say it's Pharrell in the room?
I mean, happy. Anyway.
But LSU Tigers.
Hello.
People, not that anybody was wondering if they were going to lose last week, were we going to get one of those so-called Les Miles games where, we're in control, but necessarily don't really
run away with the game.
Curb stomp, the opponent. LSU just straight out took it to Sam Houston State, a team that we both thought might put a few points and a few passing yards on LSU. LSU's defense holds them to 200 yards and shuts them out.
And total offense. Mind you, yes, it's an FCS school. Let's take that out of the factor. Okay. These guys played for the FCS championship last year.
And I think are still ranked in the top 10.
Yes, they are. And averaged, coming into this game, over 600 yards of total offense. Now, yes, I get it. It's an FCS school. But I don't care if you're playing Little Sisters of the
Poor. What do you call them? The team that did beat them, South Dakota State. They beat Iowa State in week 1, by 21 points in their own backyard?
Yeah.
And Iowa State is a team that probably should have beat Kansas State, I think it was this past
that was a close game. When you get a team, St. Houston State didn't go to small towns and recruit. They're getting guys who went to Baylor. They're getting guys who went to Texas Tech and UT, who are like the second or third strings.
Right, and that's what
good enough to go to these big schools.
And that's what Miles attributed to. Yeah, they have a lot of Division I-A players.
They have some big Division I-A players. But LSU set the tone early on. Set the tone from the first Sam Houston drive with the interception and said, look, this is Death Valley. We're here to prove something. Traven Durrell is already, after 2 weeks, on the Heisman watch.
By the way, his 2-yard total of, I think it's 294 yards, most in a 2-game span in LSU history. This is the likes of Josh Reed, Michael Clayton, Eric Martin, all these guys.
NFL.
They never did that in 2 games. But who did? Traven Durrell.
Let's think about something else that's really interesting.
Okay.
Anthony Jennings ranks top 5 in the nation in average yards per completion. And his completion percentage is under 50%. What's that number, you wonder? 27 yards per completion on average. Yes, it's a skewed statistic because he has 2 touchdown passes worth 174 yards.
Which the 94-yarder, I think, was an LSU record.
And it was an LSU record. That it was. 2 records were broken on Saturday night. Attendance, because, of course, the new additions.
Which will be broken again this week.
Yes, it will. And that touchdown pass, the longest touchdown pass in LSU history. LSU showed what they were really capable of against Sam Houston State. Because Texas A&M played Lamar. They gave up a touchdown. Alabama played Florida Atlantic University. They gave up a touchdown or a field goal. I think a touchdown. Both of these games were played at home. Both of these teams are in the FCS. So actually, FAU is a Division I school.
Yeah, they're lower tier. They're kind of like an Eastern Michigan team.
But you've got Lamar, Northwestern State, and Sam Houston State, and Nichols, all in the same conference.
Right.
Northwestern State played Baylor. They scored a touchdown. Nichols State played Arkansas. Yes, they got destroyed, but they scored a touchdown. All of these games were played for these small schools on the road in these big schools' home stadiums. LSU didn't give up a point. Matter of fact, how many turnovers did we have? 3? 4? At least 2 interceptions.
I think it was 3. In fact, they were driving to score, and then Ricky Jefferson got that interception in the 4th.
At least one Jefferson knows how to play football.
Ricky Jefferson played well last week.
Yes, he did.
He did. He's going to be an integral part of LSU's secondary future, and of course the true freshman Jamal Adams.
Yeah, looked lights out too.
He is a hard hitter. I'll tell you that. He's going to be fun to watch the next 3 to 4 years for sure.
I pray to God he sticks around and stays healthy.
Absolutely.
Let's take it to the offensive side of the ball, Matt. What'd you think?
I thought LSU ran a very efficient offense. The run-to-pass ratio ended up being something along the lines of 58 runs to 18. But when LSU's running for 356 yards, there's no need to throw.
Why throw the ball?
You know, Brandon Haskett went 4 or 5. He got a few throws in there. Had a nice catch from Malachi Dupree, who did his debut.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Anthony Jennings went 7 of 12, I think it was. Percent of the reception. LSU's 8 branch LSU offensive driving game other than the kneel down is it LSU's? Well, I tell you about, they fumbled once against Wisconsin, I think.
But we didn't. Did we lose it?
I think we did. I think that's when they went. Let's put it straight. LSU's not throwing an interception in 2 games from a team that quote unquote doesn't have a quarterback.
Quote unquote.
So
keywords.
And that's what Miles attributed to most this week is that they both need to improve, have a lot of work to do, but I'll take 0 interceptions every time.
I'll take that all day, and I'll take the +2, +5, +3 turnover ratio.
I think we're +3.
You know, you win the turnover ratio, you run the ball successfully, you win 90% of football games. And this weekend, before I get into this weekend, I love the fact that we're running the ball as a committee with the hot hand. Fournette looked real good once he settled in. Once he got his first touchdown, that settled him in. I think now you're really going to get to see Leonard Fournette for what he's really worth.
And as much as I like him, dude, no highs and lows against Sam Houston State. Come on, man. At least when Patrick Peterson did it, he was a candidate and did it against the Big East champion. Come on, man.
Come on, man. I get it, man.
But I think somebody was saying it best. I think he got excited as he did his first touchdown. Like he did the Bug and Nation, some of the section at first. That was fine. Didn't do the post. Les Miles got on his ass after that.
He didn't see the ball the rest of the first half.
Nope.
He didn't see the ball the rest of the first half.
He'll learn. Kenny Hilliard continues to run hard.
And continues to be a leader because Hilliard even talked to him after Miles got in his butt about it.
Absolutely. Terrence McGee had some good carries. Darrell Williams, the freshman that everybody forgets about. This is a good running back.
He's a bruiser.
He is a good running back. He's a highly recruited. He could start for half of the teams in the SEC.
Yep.
I think he's going to be another guy,
true freshman.
Another true freshman. I mean, he's a 4-star recruit. I mean, everybody talks about Fournette. He's the guy that's going to be in the shadow, but he's got talent. I mean, he's going to be hard to keep off the field. So LSU has a 4-headed monster at running back this year. And uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
From Madonna. That was from Madonna.
That was from Madonna.
I'm from a violet.
You wearing purple pants?
No. You're wearing a purple jacket, though.
I am wearing purple.
Speaking of purple, LSU will be wearing the purple jerseys on Saturday night as we take on the Warhawks.
The 2-0 Warhawks of UL-Monroe. And first thoughts, who they play? Well, they beat Wake Forest and they beat Idaho, who are 2 Division I A teams.
They beat Wake Forest?
They beat Wake Forest.
Damn.
Wake Forest is a bottom-tier ACC team now, but Idaho has made bowl games, I think, 2 out of the last 3 years. Yeah. And granted, it's
Vandals.
It's not the toughest conference in the world, but it's 2 Division I A wins for UL-Monroe, and that's going to go a long way to get them probably into a bowl game this year. Spread this week is 31 points. So, Ryan, I think the big question this week is, can LSU put out that kind of effort again against a quote-unquote so-called lesser opponent and show that in kind of intensity and enthusiasm? Or is it going to be one of these games that it's never really in doubt and they sort of drag it on and put it away at the end? I think that's my main question for LSU.
3-0 cover the spread.
Confident on that.
3-0 cover the spread. And I think it's going to come down to ULM's going to come out hot.
Yes.
If ULM gets the ball first, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a field goal or even a touchdown.
They beat Alabama a few years back.
They beat Alabama.
They're going to be coming to win.
These schools in Louisiana are catching up, man. I mean, they will never be at that caliber, but they are starting to even the playing field a lot. Like you said, ULM beat Nick Saban's Alabama.
That's right.
Excuse me. But I do think the Tigers, you're going to see a little bit something different. I think they're going to experiment a little bit more in the run game to see what they can, what else is working. Okay. You know, I think you're going to see some more Darnell Williams. Darnell Williams looked like a bowling ball running through the line of scrimmage on Saturday.
Right.
I would like to see Fournette get the ball more and really get him settled in. We know what Hilliard can do. You know, we know what McGee can do. Mm-hmm. Both experienced seniors. I'd like to see Fournette really get the ball more, mainly because I want to see the guy run. Now that he's settled in, he's got his touchdown.
He had better vision this week, which was encouraging.
He had a couple real nice cutbacks.
Yeah, especially the
real nice cutbacks. Yeah. You know, I would like to see Trey Quinn and Malachi Dupree and see that two-headed monster on the outside. I think they play around a little bit more. I think they cover, but I don't think we hang 56 again.
Yeah. And one thing that LSU defensively is going to have to do, I wasn't too worried about the pass. This week, UL-Monroe's running back, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he has, I think, 229 yards in 2 games. He's averaging well over 100 yards a game.
Not bad.
And we saw what Wisconsin did to LSU's defensive line. And if UL-Monroe can establish a running game, which I think they're going to try to do early, they may hang around longer than a lot of Tiger fans are comfortable with. Do I think Monroe wins the game? No, but I tell you what, I think they cover. I think along the lines, I'm going to go 38-10 type of score for LSU. I think it's
that would just cover. Yeah, you're right.
I think it's never really in doubt, but I think UL-Monroe might be able to keep it within 10 to 14 at halftime, and LSU may have to work a little harder and put it away. And I think it may not necessarily just be from lack of enthusiasm. I think one of the benefits of having a young team is I think they'll be hungry, but maybe some of that inexperience will catch up. We may have an interception this week. Knock on wood that we don't.
Right.
But I think UL-Monroe's going to be ready to play this week, and I think they're going to give LSU all they can handle. But I think the Tigers eventually do put it away and win by 28, by a score of 38-10.
Not so fast.
Not so fast, huh?
I do think ULM will be the most recent school in the state of Louisiana to score a touchdown against the Tigers. ULL. I'm sorry. I had a Cajun cough. But I'm going more along the lines of about 38-7. Right at 31.
Okay.
Right at 31. Maybe.
Keep going for the push.
Yep. Take that one to the books. Nah. 38-7. You might see 42. I think ULM's going to be a more talented team than Sam Houston State.
Last time they played in 2010, I think LSU won 41-0, when I remember.
Yeah.
And that was with Jordan Jefferson at quarterback.
Yeah. One thing I thought about, though, and no, Sam Houston is not Auburn, not even close, but the offensive styles are relatively similar. Which is completely different than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You know, you got two completely different concepts. And we were the only team to beat Auburn last year before the national championship happened. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the talent that we have, is that we play well against the spread in an open field.
I think LSU is built to beat the spread. You know, and Sam Houston was a game that I thought was going to get LSU ready for Mississippi State and Auburn's type of offense, because they both run the spread. Absolutely.
Be looking forward to Mississippi State next week. Let's get through ULM this week.
Yeah, ULM will be a good test for LSU to get back establishing stopping the run, which they did last week, but I don't really know how strong Sam Houston State's running game is. I knew they had a decent pass.
They're not a power running team, much like Wisconsin.
But before we get into a suggested segment that we've done before where Ryan plays news reporter and I got to answer in a Les Miles-esque fashion, we got to do rapid fire.
Oh,
and guess what?
Our favorite part of the show.
And guess what? We got conference games this week that actually matter this time.
Bum, bum, bum.
So it's not going to be all Cupcake City like it was last week.
Oh, you mean like Alabama's entire schedule?
Yeah, pretty much, except for about 2 games.
Except for about 2 games. Except for Auburn and us.
But we already picked the LSU game, so let's go. This is an interesting one. If this was last year, it'd be even more interesting because of Mr. Blake Bortles, I think was UCF's quarterback last year. UCF goes to Missouri this week.
Spread.
Let's see
Does
if
it have it?
It may. I'm going to wait, that ain't right. Definitely is not even. Oh, I gotta go to a different app for that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, UCF's 0-1 and it's at Mizzou.
Let's see where.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the college game day one right now.
I would like to say Mizzou. Mizzou looks like they've been playing some pretty good ball as of late. I'm trying to pull it up myself.
Yeah. I think Missouri has no problem winning this one. I got them winning. I'm going to go something along the lines of like 17 points. I don't think
Missouri's only a 10-point favorite.
10-point favorite. I think Missouri covers it.
Oh, yeah.
I got about 2 touchdowns, 17 points. Especially at home. And Matty Mock for them.
Matty Mock's been playing lights out the first 2 weeks. He really has. I like Mizzou by about 10 to 17.
Okay.
17 simply because at home.
At home. Gotcha. All right. What's the next one?
UMass, Vanderbilt. Both 0-2 in Vanderbilt. Vandy's a 17-point favorite.
I think Vanderbilt finally gets a win this week just because UMass is absolutely terrible. If this was basketball,
different ball game. Literally different ball game.
Vanderbilt got absolutely destroyed at home by Ole Miss last week.
Looking like an SEC West contender.
Yeah,
that they are.
But can they win the big one? We'll find out.
Of course not.
We'll find out soon enough. They play Alabama in 3 weeks.
Vandy.
But yeah, I think Vandy would. But I think they may struggle. I think it might be like a 7 to 10 point win.
You know why?
They have no quarterback.
No, they have a quarterback. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna skip over that one. I'm gonna keep it moving and we'll come back around.
All right.
Arkansas travels to Texas Tech.
Yeah. Is that one of those neutral site games at Jerry World?
Jones,
okay.
It's gonna be played in Dallas.
It is okay. Because I think them and A&M, I want to say, are going to start playing in Dallas as well. Almost kind of like a rivalry game.
Right.
But so this one, A&M is not as good as they were last year.
No, this is Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Texas Tech.
Arkansas, and Texas Tech. Texas Tech's 2-0 right now. But who would they play?
I don't know. I'm still going to go with the Cliff Kingsbury. I believe he's coaching them these days. I'm going to go with the Red Raiders. I don't think Arkansas is there yet. They finally got a win against Nichols. But their last, I think, Division I win, I want to say
2012.
Yeah, I think it was 2012.
No, it had to be. They went 2-8 last year.
Yeah, unless they beat
last year.
Unless somebody that played non-conference was technically Division I because they went 0-8 in the SEC. Might have been 2012, but it's been a while.
Not so fast.
Whoa!
I'm going with Pig Suey.
Pig Suey.
I'm pulling for the SEC in this one.
They do have a good rushing attack.
And that's why. Arkansas has reestablished the run game. They showed that against Auburn. They obviously showed it against Nichols, putting up almost 500 yards on the ground. I think Arky's going to come out of this one, but I think this was going to be a knockdown, drag-out, 12-round boxing match. Texas Tech's only a 2.5-point favorite, and I think that's probably due to location.
Yeah.
They're closer to Lubbock than they are to Fayetteville.
Right. But Arkansas does travel well.
Arkansas does travel well, as do most SEC.
And they're actually going to be in the building of Arkansas alum
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones.
For those of you who have seen the commercial, he loves him some Pig Suey.
He does.
Modest, just the way I like it.
But, here we go. Now I got it back up. This week is the return of the Alabama Network in Vern Lundquist and CBS. And what's probably the biggest SEC game this week, Ryan, the undefeated Georgia Bulldogs go to a pretty desperate South Carolina team this week.
Damn it, man, I was waiting for now.
You were?
Oh, well.
It's okay. We got to get to it eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
This is one of those games that South Carolina really needs to win. They cannot afford to go 0-2 in the SEC. Georgia's coming in hot off a win against Clemson, but now they go on the road. Can they keep it up in a very tough Williams-Brice Stadium? But A&M went in there 2 weeks ago and absolutely destroyed Spurrier and them. This is a tough one, Ryan. What we got as far as the spread this week? Does it say?
I'm confused. I didn't realize Georgia had a bye week last week.
Yeah, Georgia's had 2 weeks.
I'm looking at them as a 1-0 number 6 team in the nation, and the only team they beat was Clemson.
Yeah, they had a bye week.
So they got a free pass last week. So they've been preparing for the old ball coach for 2 weeks now.
And even on the road, they're a 6-point favorite. I tell you what, until South Carolina's defense can prove it without Clowney, I'm riding the Todd Gurley train, and I think Georgia may put a lot of points up. I think South Carolina will keep it close. Spurrier has had Georgia's number, but I think this could be Georgia's year to win possibly the SEC.
The spread is 6. Georgia by 17.
17. I'll go Georgia by a touchdown.
Here's why.
Okay.
Gurley is the Heisman front runner, playing lights out. Long as Gurley stays healthy, Georgia's a top 5 ball club.
Okay.
Here's the other reason why. Dylan Thompson couldn't play quarterback for Edie White. No offense to my quarterbacks who played for Edie White, but Dylan Thompson is one of the worst quarterbacks in the SEC right now. I think Steven Rivers is a better quarterback than Dylan Thompson. I watched the A&M game, and then I watched them again last weekend against Eastern Carolina. This guy can't hit the broadside of a barn with a 12-gauge shotgun at point-blank range. This guy's terrible. And he's starting for one of the most prolific offensive-minded coaches that the SEC's seen in the past 30 years, Steve Spurrier.
A team that's won 11 games 3 years in a row.
And done. He misses Connor Shaw. Trust me.
Connor Shaw,
Dylan Thompson is terrible. Terrible. This guy's freaking brutal. Georgia by 17. Simply because South Carolina can't keep up.
Okay. In the game
Can you tell I'm biased?
Yeah, just a
That's a little bit.
In a game that you and I would not be mad if something happened to the stadium.
I know where you're going with this.
ULL with 2 L's. The Raging Cajuns off a demoralizing loss at home to Louisiana Tech last week. Travel to the Rabs of Ole Miss, who are indeed a 28-point favorite. This is not the same ULL team this year as we've seen in the past. I think they'll be fired up for this game, but as much as I hate Ole Miss, I don't think they'll be able to stop Ole Miss in offense. I think Bo Wallace may put up career numbers in this game against ULL.
This is going to be an embarrassment.
I think you're enjoying this one.
If this is going to finish anyway, the way the super regionals for baseball finished, I'm gonna be licking my chops.
I forgot about
How do you forget about that?
I tried to forget.
Ole Miss big. ULL has been on the come up. Their program has been on the come up ever since a few moves were made from inside the administration as far as funding goes, which has proven to be in ULL's football program's favor, with them being a 3-time now New Orleans Bowl champion.
Yeah. By the way, they expanded their stadium to 37,000 seats this year. They only sold 25,000 tickets last week for the La Tech game. So I'm thinking to myself, what's the point of expanding if you can't even consistently sell out your stadium?
Ole Miss, big. Will they cover 27? Probably, because they're playing in Oxford.
We did say shots fired this week. Right?
We did say shots fired. Confirmed. Shots fired. ULL, you're going 1-2, and you're gonna be. What's the word I'm looking for to be polite about it?
A
non-factor.
I'm gonna really go. ULL is the 4th best team in the state this year.
I'd be willing to say 5th.
Think Tulane's better?
I could think Tulane could beat them.
Well, do they play this year?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
We'll
They
see.
should.
We'll see.
In the New Orleans Bowl.
Even though Tulane's 0-2, they've been competitive in those games.
They
should have beat Tulsa. Georgia Tech.
They should have beat Georgia Tech. A pick 6 was a big turning point in that ball game.
They'll rebound.
They will. Tulane's got a lot of talent, and they got a fantastic coach.
Speaking of teams we hate, Alabama goes at home against the powerhouse of Southern Miss, who's not the Southern Miss we are used to seeing. In fact, what was it, 2 years ago when they went 0-11, or was it last year?
I think it was last year they went 0-11.
Yeah, they're 1-1 this year. I don't even know who they beat, but all I know is Alabama's a 47.5-point favorite.
That's why you see this dumbfounded look on my face. Why would you even bother putting a line on a 48-point spread?
Because
because some idiot, some Golden Eagle idiot, is going to bet plus 48 on Southern Miss, and they're going to cover by 1 point.
The game's always more interesting in Vegas.
52-7, Bama. Next.
The Gulfs win, but I tell you what, just for one sake, I think Southern Miss covers if it's even really worth even saying.
I mean, it's a 48-point spread. It's ridiculous.
Oh, especially how much Alabama runs the ball.
And that goes to another unranked team that Alabama plays out of conference.
I'll tell you what, we'll actually get to the only other conference game this week, actually. An improved Kentucky team goes against a Florida team that is looking to get back on track. This is actually an intriguing one. Like, on paper, Florida should be able to handle this game, but can Mark Stoops, Little Stoops there, I think Kentucky's going to be fired up to play this one in the Swamp this week. They haven't beaten Florida there in years.
This is an interesting spread because it's in the Swamp.
Right.
It's a downtrodden Kentucky program, and Florida's only an 18-point favorite. This is going to be a close game. Florida didn't get their warm-up in week 1.
And then they destroyed
Eastern Michigan at home in week 2.
Who LSU plays, I think it's next year, actually.
So they play Little Sisters of the Poor in week 2. So this is going to be their first real conference test, just like Kentucky. But Kentucky's looked pretty good at home these past couple of games. They haven't looked like a powerhouse, but they've looked like an organized, quality football team. I think Florida wins. I think Kentucky covers.
I agree. I think Kentucky keeps it close and Florida wins by maybe 10 points.
This is going to be Florida's first proving ground.
I think if with a healthy Jeff Driscoll, I believe Florida's quarterback right now. But he looked good now. It was Eastern Michigan, but he's a guy that when he's been healthy, Florida has been a different team.
Yes.
And especially when their defense has been healthy, which is decimated last year.
Yeah.
I think Florida wins, but like I said, they almost need to be tested a little bit.
Yep.
We got to see what they can do.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got on the slate.
Save Rocky Top for last.
Let's save Rocky Top for last. Yeah.
Because the other two are pretty self-explanatory.
Well, this is a game actually Rice played at Texas A&M last year, and that was that game Johnny Football was suspended for the first half, and Rice actually hung around with Mr. Hill and them. Can they do the same this year, or does Vegas know something with the 31.5-point spread?
Kenny Hill looks like a grown man amongst children throwing the rock, and he showed it against South Carolina. Kenny Hill is probably number 3 in the Heisman race right now, and at the beginning of the season, I bashed this guy and had to open my mouth and put my foot in it because they destroyed South Carolina in South Carolina. I think A&M really and truly is a contender in the SEC West as long as their defense can hold steady. If Rice has any success at all, it'll be running the football.
Okay.
Now, I don't know anything about Rice's program this year. I don't know what they're looking like. All I know is they're 0-1 and a favorite at home on Saturday night. A&M wins. A&M covers.
I think this might be a game A&M maybe flirt with a 70-burger.
They put up a 70-burger last weekend against Lamar,
yeah.
But at least this is against a D1 school.
Right. It depends how much. It's almost going to be how much do they want to toy with A&M?
How much do they experiment with their offense?
Now they're going to give up points, but never doubt A&M.
I think they cover the 32, but
they might.
They could end up being like a
63-21 type of
right,
game.
Where Rice scores quality points against them, but just can't stop the offense.
Right. So the one that you and I were looking at earlier.
Two
more?
Stark Vegas.
Oh, we forgot about Stark Vegas.
Mississippi State goes on the road to South Alabama. Mississippi State looks like a real good ball club this year. They look like they're on the uphill. Mm-hmm. They're climbing the ranks of the SEC. I think Mississippi State wins. Interestingly enough, I think only because this is a road game, State's only a 14.5-point favorite.
South Alabama is an up-and-coming program, but I think State's offense is just going to be too much for Prescott. He may have a field day.
This guy's got a lot of experience. It was like his third year starting under center, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's his third year.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think State covers. Not by much, but I think State covers. Look at this one to be like a 17-point ball game.
Something along the lines of that. I agree.
And the big game in the SEC this weekend.
Yes.
Put the phones down for this one.
Speaking of big mouths. Bob Stoops, man, who's been one to bash the SEC. Boy, you really stepped up to the plate, Bob, when he playing the 11th ranked SEC team at home.
Yeah.
This week.
At home.
Do we even really need to analyze this so much?
Tennessee's got the talent. They don't have the experience.
They're not there yet.
They don't have.
I do like their coach. I do like Butch.
Yeah.
I hate Bob Stoops.
Yeah.
I think he's an arrogant prick.
Son of a bitch. I said it. Viewer discretion advised. We should have said at the beginning of this one.
Oh, I did enjoy him beating Bama last year. I'll give him that.
Yes.
You can't beat LSU, buddy.
No.
With that said, Bob Stoops, I believe, is 88-5 at home as a head coach. Yeah,
incredible.
It's tough to win at Norman.
Tough? Call it tough?
A little tough.
You got better odds of winning the lottery.
Well, I guess we'll find out in 2027.
That whenever we go to Oklahoma?
Yeah, since speaking of Oklahoma, originally backed out of the series, and it's finally been rescheduled. LSU will travel to Norman in 2027, and then they'll come to Baton Rouge in 2028. That's why Bob Stoops may not even be alive by then.
14 years. Dude, we're going to be 40.
Yeah, I'd like not to think about that right now.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. I just kind of zoned out. Just playing with numbers.
Oklahoma big. Tennessee just doesn't have the firepower to hang with them right now.
It'd be nice to see Tennessee go into Norman unranked and beat an overranked Oklahoma team. Now, granted, Oklahoma's most likely going to win the Big 12 because they don't have any competition. The next highest ranked team, I think, is either Oklahoma State or Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kansas State barely squeaked out this weekend.
Yeah, against Iowa State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State played a good quality game in Week 1 against Florida State. But there's nobody else in the Big 12 who's even worth mentioning. UT got blown out at home to BYU.
And then is it next week that Auburn plays Kansas State?
Yes.
Okay. I thought
that's going to be an interesting match.
That would be interesting. Now, for the sake of picking an upset, I'm going to really reach this week.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Texas is a team that has just not been good this year. Got embarrassed at home by BYU this week. I think they upset UCLA this week. Somehow at home, I think they upset
UCLA is going in to Austin?
They're going to Austin. I'll give them credit. UCLA is going on the road to Virginia across the country and going to Texas. So at least they're not only playing non-conference, they're going on the road. I'll give them credit for that.
I'm looking at the top 25 right now to see who I could pull.
I couldn't even find. I had to go down to Pac-12 games, and I'm going to go with Texas.
Looking.
It's tough to pick an upset this week.
Looking. Of the top 25 teams, really,
there's not really any there.
That's the only one I would pick. And when you look at it, Matt, UCLA is only a 7-point favorite.
Yeah.
Going into Austin as the number 6 team in the nation.
Yeah. Another game that I was looking at that could be a potential. Does Virginia Tech have the hangover against East Carolina?
East Carolina's shown in years past that they can hang with the big boys. They hung with South Carolina for most of the game.
That's another one to look out for. Does Virginia Tech have the hangover against Ohio?
I saw that one and it kind of made me think the same thing. But the emotional hangover from the big W coming out of Columbus.
Right.
To prove to the nation that Ohio State really does just suck. Yeah. Sorry. Viewer discretion advised again. I think that would be your one big upset of the top 25. UCLA has not impressed me at all. And coming into the preseason, their quarterback was a Heisman dark horse. And the only reason they beat Maryland in Week 1, no, not Maryland, was it? Virginia in Week 1 was 3 defensive touchdowns in the second quarter. Virginia outscored them, outplayed them, but their quarterback made 2 horrendous throws that were returned for touchdowns, as well as a fumble, scoop, and score for 65 yards on UCLA's defense. UCLA is the most overrated team in the top 25 right now, and I think this could be the weekend they get exposed. Now, this could work in Charlie Strong's favor. Ash is out for the season.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a new quarterback you don't have a lot of film on, speaking from UCLA's point of view.
And a coach that their fans aren't too happy with from the beginning. I feel bad for the guy.
Who, Charlie Strong? Mm-hmm. It's only because he went to Texas. You got to give the guy a couple years. He's still playing with
Mac
Brown's old recruits.
Yeah.
You know, so
he had a really good program there at Louisville.
Yeah, he did. Teddy Bridgewater.
Yep.
Just to name one.
That's one right there.
I think that would be your suspect.
Ooh, suspect. You got the suspect.
Upset alert of the weekend, as well as Virginia Tech and Eastern Carolina. Now they're playing in Blacksburg.
It is in Blacksburg, which is another very
very tough place to win. Beamer Ball plays well in Blacksburg.
I think East Carolina will give them a game, but I'll go with Virginia Tech in that one. I'm gonna stick with Texas for mine. But that's one for definitely a not so fast, watch out for them type of game.
This. I'm not even gonna do this. I'm not even gonna put it down. I'm pulling for UT. Please expose to the nation how crappy UCLA's football team really is, because they're not that good.
Bonus point: who's UCLA's coach?
Jim Moore.
Good call.
Come on, man. We do this too much.
I know. Figure you know, but I just want to make fun of Jim Moore Jr.
Jim Moore Jr. That was about to say. Hold on, let me clarify myself.
All right, Ryan. What do they want to ask Les before we get off the air?
Coach Miles, what did you think of LSU's secondary play this weekend?
The play of the secondary, they saw the field and had the quality just as much as this Diet Coke here. Refreshing and delicious.
Coach, are you talking about the secondary or the grass on LSU's field?
The guys, they step on a playing surface usually made of some sort of real or artificial grass, and we look forward to playing there this Saturday.
Coach, who's going to be your starting quarterback on Saturday? Brandon Harris or Anthony Jennings?
Both quarterbacks will play.
Coach, who's going to be your starting running back on Saturday?
There will be a quarterback, and he will hand it off to a guy that will eventually run it down the field, either north or south, depending which side of the field that we're going towards.
In true Les Miles fashion, which Mr. Gobert here has perfected to a T.
Oh, I forgot to put the hat on.
He didn't even answer a single one of my damn questions. Not one. Well done, Coach Miles. Well done.
That's usually how Les does it.
Quality.
It was a quality interview.
Quality.
I miss doing Ask Les. We haven't done Ask Les in a while. All right. Ryan, do you have anything else before we go off the air?
I'm hungry, y'all.
You hangry?
I'm hangry. No, I'm not hangry. I'm just hungry.
Just hungry.
Just hungry.
With that said, that's all for episode 53. I think we got one other thing to do, I think. Oh, yeah.
Good night,
Good night, America.